before I get into it, some announcements. One, as for uploads to my Pornhub channel, no more. No, not because I'm retiring from being a sensualistic pornographer. I've been trying my damnedest to continue that, but I am moving away from Pornhub. I've had enough of them. Should have never gone to them in the first place, morally. And because, as well as, due to their new two-step verification process they've implemented for all their performers. Well, let's just say I'm pretty much pseudo-banned from uploading to the platform now. I can't even access the ability to edit my profile without going through the authentication process, which, one, morally, I'm not going to do. Two, when I considered potentially doing it before I opted away from it, mound upon mound of ludicrous nonsense. So, for anyone who views my content there, it's not going to be there anymore. If I can, I'll leave a comment on my last video uploaded to it as to where I'll be moving. Well, one, photography-wise, my sexual content is just like my other stock photography on my Quora account. And in terms of video content, I tried finding a smaller free-to-watch platform. There wasn't one. At least there wasn't any that were cooperative with the registration process, or that weren't, well, under control of MindGeek. So now, all going well, I will be uploading to the platform makelovenotporn.com. It's a small platform, and I very much am in favor of what they're trying to do. Unfortunately, there will be a rental fee of $5 for any videos watched or viewed on it, but I say rental because, well, with their setup, you can rent it for a certain number of days, and it expires. As for what I'll be doing with the small amount of profit that will be made from it, it'll be deposited into my bank account and it'll get lost with any amount of other finance that I make. I don't want to monetize my pornos. I've said this. I didn't want to. I've run out of options. So that's one announcement. No more uploads to Pornhub. My channel will still remain up. unless Pornhub decides to, well, remove it. That's up to them. Second is, yes, I'm still in the city of Lévis, Quebec. I'm no longer in the apartment that I was staying at when I came back to the city. I was there for 2 months, staying with a person named S, abbreviation. I looked after their apartment for them for a whole month while they were away in Belize. But that's a different story. But I ended up having to leave. But as for what I've been doing in the city, what I will be doing, well, as I will have briefly mentioned, I believe, in the last long video, that I was still looking for some small employment. Well, that's, as of now, that's ceasing. Why? Well, simply put, there's nothing here. Pretty well nothing. For small businesses, that is. It's bone dry in terms of positions. As of the winter months. Everywhere I've gone, both during my first 2 months being here in the biz, before going to St. Paul de Montmagny, and then coming back to the city the past going on 3 months. Every establishment I've gone to, we're full staff. You don't speak Quebecois French. Racism, or colorism, faced a lot of that. And or we can't afford to hire another worker. So, I was going to wait till April 15th to stop indefinitely searching for employment here in the city. I'm stopping now. Because one, I'm fairly certain that nothing will come up. Two, because come the end of April, I will have spent enough time here in Lévis for my liking. I will have spent enough time on the south shore of the St. Lawrence River for my liking. It's time to, come May 1st, it's time to get moving into Quebec City, finally. And I've also been, in terms of not just explorations for myself, from various locals, job position-wise, for predominantly English speaker, you will have far better options, most likely, at the small businesses in Quebec City, Quebec, than Lévis, Quebec. Because of the tourist industry and higher, well, non-Quebecois Canadian immigration rate. What I'm going to do is finish up my endeavors, the last few endeavors that I want to accomplish here in the city, and then by ideally May 1st, but if not the 1st exactly, then absolutely sometime in early May, I'll get moving across the connecting bridge between the two neighboring cities. And final quick announcement. I know I said a few videos ago, when I was still in St. Paul de Montmagny, that I try and do this thing where instead of where I've done videos recapping things that I was incorrect about and correcting myself or opinions of mine that have changed, instead of doing that and just stating maybe one thing I was wrong about that I had said in prior videos that either directly related to the topic of the video or not, just at the beginning of the video. Fuck that. No, I will admit what I was wrong about, yes. Making that a set task for the beginning of every video, fuck that, no. Have you seen the length of my content? No. I can't, even for videos that I have made for revising my opinions on things, I don't get all of them. There's absolutely no way. It's impossible. So when I say that I was wrong about something, it'll be wherever in the friggin' video, or I will keep making videos dedicated solely to that. Here and there. But just on that note, we'll do it for this one. Something in recent times that I've come to change my opinion on is that of using religious swears, which I've done in the past. And you might be thinking, why? Cam, aren't you an agnostic atheist? Yes, I am. Well, it relates to my theoretical work and my observations of elements of religious culture. And the way I see it, I don't think it's fair. Even in the attempt at reclaiming individual freedom from religious oppression, I don't think it's justifiable anymore. I don't think it's fair. So I'm trying my best to, when aggravated or joking, refrain from, for me, predominantly saying Christian-oriented swears. Jesus Christ, goddamn, hell, Lord. Yeah. That'll be for a different discussion, or what the heck, I'll probably talk about a bit here in this video. Now, to get on with it, what are we at? Wow, that was 15 minutes. So interesting. My introductions for all of my modern videos alone could just... they take up the runtime of most average YouTubers' entire video content. Sure, many have just clicked off by now. I myself don't entirely know what this video is supposed to be. Could you call it a rant? Yeah, well, it's going to be, but what I mean more so is, I guess, this is going to be a jumble of thoughts. As things do, it will all come together in the end. But, yeah, actually, I think I can safely say this is probably the first recording I've done on my channel thus far where, even with, especially in my now older content from about a year and a half to 2 years ago, that was commentary based. Even with me trailing off in tangents, as I do and have done, for whatever topic I'm discussing, that's the thing. Up until this point, every video that I've made, commentary-wise or not, I know what the main idea of the video is supposed to be when going into it. I have had known that, or had a general idea of what I'm going to discuss, or what I'm going to do in the video, up until this point. For this one, I don't. I don't even have the slightest clue what I'm going to title this. I really have no clue. There's some ideas pinging around in my mind, but I don't know. The title might just describe, it might vaguely describe it all, or it might describe one thing I talk about. Okay, well, let's start with that, actually. I can never collect my thoughts. In any way that I personally would like. That is. I consciously, I'm a very lonely person. Very lonely. If the length of my videos, most of my average videos, for solely just where I am addressing the camera. Forget even my exploration series of different municipalities, or certain few short films. Some work I've done on my channel is short film-esque, or skits that I did in the past. Certain lengthy ones. Forgetting those. Just the commentary alone. Like, that should prove how lonely I am. Consciously. Not in relation to my psychobiological theory of interactive loneliness. On a conscious level. How I have no one. Who I can really talk to. Even for the very few people, intellectual people who I have met, who I've had lengthy discussions with. Okay. Yes. Let me refine that. Let me reframe that stance. Other intellectuals who I've had discussions with, that I'm thankful for having. I'm thankful for having them as companions. Realistically, where I've put my input in here and there. I've put it in here and there. Except for really one person. It should be obvious that I don't have anyone that I can actually rely on in terms of my input of stimulating conversation. I don't. At least from my emotional perspective, it feels like I don't. Maybe I've overlooked some things, but it feels like I don't. could rant for... Do I even need to explain how long I can rant for? About my interests? About my passions? About my knowledge? I can rant for hours. I could rant for days until I collapse from exhaustion. Now, this is something I truly believe. Critical thinkers, people who try to cognitively induce critical thought, who have been raised in an environment or because of environmental circumstances have gained the ability to intellectualize and to observe and be analytical. People who I would consider to be intellectuals, which is just anyone who tries to apply critical thought to every facet of their daily life, every action, every ethical choice they make. I truly believe that we become very... what's a good way to put this? No, it's not that we become, we need cognitive stimulation. We need it. We need a lot of it, or we will die. We will. We need it. We can't handle life without it. We need, of course, every human being needs this as far as I'm concerned. But intellectuals, no, they need a lot. And I'm not talking just, for those who may think that metaphysics is separate from physics, which it's not. I'm not just talking like in this vague philosophical terms. I mean our neuropsychiatric baseline stimulation. You know neuroscience? You know what baseline stimulation is? Well, that's what I'm talking about. Those of you who don't, here's some neuroscience for you. Baseline stimulation is your cognitive... it's the basis at which your cognitive perception and in that pleasure receptors, in relation to the striatal function, frontal cortex function, and cingulate function, as well as for focus and attention, temporal function, all of it. It's the level at which external neural stimuli, how much of it an individual needs for, as far as I'm concerned, their subconscious 5 inherent desires to be gratified, to be fulfilled. And on a neurophysiological level, for you to for your physical body to be in a state of proper function, to be at a level of stability. That'd be a good, yeah, stability. To where it is cognitively stable. I truly believe that intellectuals have a heightened baseline stimulation. Not to the point of what would be regarding, say, ADHD, attention hyperactivity disorder, where you need excessive, constant external stimulation, as far as I'm concerned, for there to be sensory gratification. Or, say, an eccentric behavioral disorder. 2. No, not to that extent, but higher than even those who don't have a psychiatric illness, who are conformist and indoctrinated into a belief, who don't apply much thought to their actions, the effects they have, and the environment around them. They need more. They need more cognitive stimulus. Otherwise, and when intelligent people do not get that, it's a world of trouble. When trauma is introduced to that, or if intellectual reasoning had evolved out of trauma in some way, and once that evolution occurs, it's further deprived of it. It's further deprived of needed stimuli. Oh, well, you name it. Severe depression, suicidality, severe substance addiction to bring on a dopamine uptick. Severe more leaning narcissistic qualities, or full-out development of narcissistic personality disorder, or egotistical personality disorder. And severe conscious loneliness. And I feel this every fucking day. I am starved of genuine, meaningful thought. Not on my part, on other people's part. It's like to put in the most simple example, it's like you're the one student in class who's in a group assignment and you're doing all the work. It's ironic given my stance on systematic education. It's draining. And it's what makes so many individuals who were at one point highly intelligent succumb to apathy, conscious apathy, and stupidity. That's a double-edged sword. Because not only do you have to deal with the idiocy of the world around you, you also have to deal with the for stupid people who may be willing to listen to you or take an interest in you, whether for superficial reasons of just seeking social praise and status for knowing someone who's intelligent, or genuinely taking an interest, genuinely wanting to learn and change their ways, their lifestyle choices. You then now have the unrealistic pressure of people consciously expecting you to be right all the time, and not fail. At least that's what it fucking feels like. You see it all the time with prominent intellectual figures in the media, and not the sensationalized media, no. Amongst smaller discourse groups, a lot, just complete unempathetic qualities, right to left to center, all ping pong back and forth across the spectrum. It's you're just expected by morons to be their god. No, I mean it. Let's look at that ontologically for a second. It doesn't matter if you are religious in terms of an establishmentarian religion structure, or if you're non-religious spiritually. People really do look for things to just call a god. There's a name for that for human beings. That's called idolization. And for an idea, Well, that's called idealization. My second Too Much Talking Twink video. One of my first few commentary videos was about that. People really do. And I'm going to use the word God. I'm not going to call it, I know it is called idolizing and idealizing, but I'm not going to use that. I want to use something that maybe a few more people can get drilled through their craniums. People really do find ideologies, human beings, cultures to just hail as an omnipotent being. It's the same. It's all the same. To just hail as divine worship. Doesn't matter if you pray to it or not. Doesn't matter if you read scripture of it or not. Doesn't matter. You have a book collection dedicated to the topic and you're obsessive over it? Well, there's your friggin' scripture. You'll clap with no hesitation, no slight nothing psychologically that could just be sort of a leash for you, for what someone who has devoted themselves to a philosophy may think. Well, there's your prayer ritual. Because people are afraid. So afraid. So much fear. I see so much fear in everyone I meet. Whether people want to believe it about me or not, whether people want to believe it about me or not, if I meet you, if I talk with you face to face, or even in the messages that people send me, I can sniff out your weaknesses, your insecurities, and your strengths. I can see them all with fairly good accuracy within a day of knowing you. Most people I meet within a day. I can read them quite well in a day, psychologically. I don't say it out loud. Because if I did, most likely, This might be the social paranoia talking somewhat. Most likely, with individuals who I have come across, I would get, well, assaulted physically. I would be very violently hurt, or I'd be thrown out of a place. But, well, fuck. My last job position, just look at that as a clear example. People really do have no time for a gray area. You don't have time for it. They're just so in denial that it can even exist. People really, really just want to feel secure. And I always kick myself to yeah, it's that damn old perfectionism. I kick myself to really articulate my point well in these videos. It's another reason they're so long. Because I want to educate people. And I am an unconventional educator. No matter what, I will not directly go towards conventional methods that people think are practical. Not practical, for fuck's sake. But even with that, I constantly, well, here's a self-contradiction. A surface, maybe I don't know it, but I'm sure it's a surface level contradiction. I want to educate stupid people. But at the same time, they infuriate me. And I'd much rather spend my time helping to educate already intelligent people. I really would. I know that's not fair, and I'm not going to do that. Morally, I don't think that's right. But emotionally, right now, how I feel, I really would rather spend my time. And in that, come to realize. If I try to speak to as many people as I can. But if I'm only reaching, if only the intelligent people will look at me and try to look at me as a person with empathy and sympathy, with analysis and attempt to look at why I do what I do, the situations I'm placed in, the resources I'm given to do so, then who am I worried is misinterpreting my content? Who the fuck am I worried about? For the longest time, I didn't do it. I was blindsided to it. I should have been doing it using my own perspective for it. What am I anxious over? Looking from my self-perspective, if I already do this, if I already try to critically analyze every human being that I meet, all content, media-wise, that is produced, that I watch, and I try to learn about the individuals involved in making it, and their life stories, and why they make the choices they do as people, emotionally. If I do that, and I know that there are others who do that, and I consider them to be the intelligent ones, the human race, what am I worried about? Then they're going to do that for me. What they see here, or if they try and find out other information about me from people I know, or other online activity of mine, they'll do the same. Like, I've made, at this current point in time, I've made more than enough content. I've done more than enough things online for if anyone who wants to research about me, you'll know who I am as a person. I don't know why I keep feeling... No, I know why. I'm just used to saying I don't know why. I do know why. Why I keep feeling like I need to do more and more and more. One, because right now I get no traction. None. For any of the dubious amounts of work that I do. Like, on here, I'm a friggin'... Where's my nomination for of the Year award? Where is it? That's in essence what I do. It's in essence what my exploration videos are. What they're attempting to be. They're the length of feature films. So where is it? And I'm speaking metaphorically here. Or figuratively. I'm speaking figuratively here. I've tried to avoid misinterpretation of my opinions by people to the greatest possible extent. I still do. I always try to. But it's clear I try way too much. I give moronic people so many opportunities to not take what I've said out of context, to not miss the point I'm trying to drive home, and somehow people still do. Not online, because no one talks to me online here. Any of you watching, not a whole slew of people comment. As of right now. Somehow there's still just room for misunderstanding. People who I've spoken to in person. And I don't mean just like slight misunderstanding, I mean misunderstanding my entire point. And it really is enough to make you want to just stop talking. To just become a mute. To just exist and not talk. get to that point of apathy. Why even bother? That crucial existential question, why even bother? And you know what I hate most? You know what I hate more than anything? In the world? Truthfully? Are those rare moments where the idiots of the world, the dumb ones, the dimwits, the Nimrods, where they are right, and where in good conscience you have to admit that they are right, whether you say it out loud or not. Any psychologists out there watching this, or psychiatric professionals who are licensed or not licensed and practicing, like me, I know so many of you can agree with me on this, that the worst thing about your job is telling a narcissist when they're right. Oh, it's bad. It's real bad. No, because that one right, correct bit of knowledge and information that they have, oh, that goes straight to their ego. It goes right there. And it reinforces their superiority complex. Oh my, I've seen that happen too many times. Parasocially and immediate socially. I've seen that happen way too many damn times. It's the worst fucking thing. Or telling a pessimistic depressive that they're right about one thing. Telling a catatonic they're right. Telling a sociopath they're right. And let me, to not conflate this with me being ableist. Morally corrupt individuals with these psychological disorders. Morally corrupt. It's for the billionth time. Just because you have these disorders does not mean you are inherently an immoral person. Those disorders are the cause. Oh, let me put it in the most blatant way possible. Psychological disorders are the cause for immorality. Yeah, you know what? That's it. That's it. That's the most easy way I could put it, my opinion. Emotional disorders are the cause for unethical behavior. I've said this countless of times in more long-winded statements. They are the reason for immorality. And it's the worst thing. And they're right. Because, yeah, as I said, it's just it just leads to delusional confirmation for them. That's all it leads to. For their whole worldview, that's all it leads to. And on a personal level, well, all of it's personal, but on my own individual level, even worse than that is when stupid people are right about me. And they make one genuine point that I didn't think about, that I didn't realize. Certain professionals, well, they're not professionals, certain people who work in psychiatric field will say that it's all interpersonal. No. It's societal. It's the environment. It's both. Vice versa influence. Can't have one without the friggin' other. It's why I have quarrel with the elitists of this world, with the supremacists, with mass political corruption. When people tell me why waste your time on it? I've stated all my reasons for it being morally right, all of which are valid. But if you really want a very personal, moral reasoning for why, on a subconscious, selfish level, because of what they fucking did to me, my family, and everyone else I know, why at every turn now I try to investigate, gather information for my own interest, to learn and to expose, as I do on here. Because at the very least, I've realized if this relates to the other long form video I made, which I absolutely believe, as long as you try to enact your ideologies, it's never futile, because you exist. I've realized if I can't be revolutionary, if I can't form a mass movement or become prominent in kicking off a mass movement of people refusing to abide by oppressive systems, then I can at the very least be a nuisance to them. I can at the very least, on the smallest level that I have, I can be an annoyance. I can be a fucking annoyance. Not a violent annoyance, but a persistent, aggressive annoyance. I can be an annoyance that takes up a portion of time for them on whatever smaller, lower level management division of a corporation or governmental sector, or of a religious branch in a local community. Or a specific political organization. I can be a nuisance. If I dedicate enough time to it, I can be a thorn in their side. Enough to, on a more interpersonal level, scramble it up enough to make it just enough of a dysfunctional force to where it hinders what they do morally, where it hinders the functioning of this one space of their systemic actions, to where it hinders it. It puts time and resources into it. They're chasing after me. And that goes for both figurative or literal. So I'll address in a bit. I can do that. Doesn't mean I'll ever stop trying to spread the word of my theoretical work, of my political beliefs, my ideals. No, I will die before that. It's interesting. I've heard some news of my extended family who, if you know the history of me, betrayed my trust nearly 2 years ago now. Their actions. Gosh. I don't know. I don't know how far. I don't know what I have to do to convince people for them to realize that, like, I'm dead serious about what I say. I have intent behind every word that comes out of my mouth, every action that I do, even if I wasn't in the best mindset. Even if I was wrong, made a mistake, there was an intention there. And even if I regret that intention, there was still an intention. I will die for what I believe is right. I'm smart enough to not go rushing in to something. That being said, I'm not stupid enough to be reactionary. You don't see me out here running into a police precinct with an armed weapon or with an anarchist flag and jumping up on the tables and vandalizing the place. You don't see me doing that, and you're not gonna see me doing that. I don't abide by whatever next political atrocity occurs that the mass right-wing media spins into a sensational frenzy that ignites global protests and or riots, thus fueling reactionary far-left media to encourage said behavior. I don't abide by whatever one they throw next. You will not catch me at one. And the far left will call that inaction. Well, you're stupid. No, what you do is inaction, actually. You throw a rock through the window of a Walmart or stand in unison, blocking traffic at a busy highway intersection, and then 2 weeks later you go home. Oh, that's so much inaction. It's so clear you have no plan. You have no semblance of any sensible plan. You are right in I have to always say it, you're right in what you want, in your ideological values. You are right. You are right. Other than the sociopathic projection for much of it. The end goal is right. You don't have any good method of getting there. Oh, but I've said it all before. Why am I so hard on the left wing if I'm a leftist? Because truth be told, not enough leftist intellectuals are. Not enough of them are. You're so full of, like, when the right wing hammers down, when the far right throws so much abhorrent sludge at my side of the spectrum, the far end of my side becomes so full, and I mean it's so full, even rising leftists, so full of confirmation bias, just confirmation bias after confirmation bias. I'm so full of it. And then the center becomes so full of it. And obviously, those reactions cause so much confirmation bias for the far right. Like, it gets to a point where the entirety of the spectrum is just looking, tensions get so high, it's just, people are looking for an excuse. People are just looking for that little excuse to go through with extremist actions. They're looking for that little spark. Like, in the past on this channel, I've commented on internet drama. It wasn't the purpose of this channel, but I have talked about and addressed internet drama here and there, and I have always tried to relate it to the external world on a broader scale for specific events that I mention. But I don't do it, from my perspective, I don't do it often. But why? Because I see it all the time. I see it too much. Every time I turn on my phone. With the little social media that I have, I see it too much. It's not that it's not valid to talk about. But too many people. Too many people are talking about it who don't know anything remotely, who have nothing valid to say about the situation. Realistically, nothing valid. They don't know what they're talking about at all. And two, I see enough of, in these little internet dramas, whatever one comes up, whatever ones that even content creators that I enjoy, who I think are highly intelligent, even for them, if they decide to talk about it, well, sadly, I think too many of them focus on those major dramas. Don't really look elsewhere for things that relate to it morally, ideologically. In terms of the moral values behind actions partaken in relating to a certain situation that the internet has clamped together to about, I'm more interested about that ideologic value how it's presenting itself out there. I'm more interested in that. I'd be more interested in, if I was ever given the opportunity to, sneaking in to YouTube's headquarters or Google's headquarters and finding out some interesting things about them, their corporate totalitarianism. I'd be much more interested in doing that than discussing whatever they've pushed the feeds to be tailored to on their social media apps, so that the alt-right and the alt-left online and the internet subcultures, so they just stay distracted. What? Child enslavement in foreign nations to extract mining resources to build the chips within our data savers? What? No. What are you talking about? Go look at what Jake Paul is doing now. I don't know what Jake Paul is doing now. I haven't known what the heck he's doing since 2017. That's an example. Go look at whatever atrocious, validly atrocious thing he said or did. Valid. But don't mind us doing the other thing that is in essence the same. And realistically more impactful and horribly destructive on a communal basis. That's what I'm interested in. That's what I want to do. And in that, there's another thing that I've come to realize. Something that I have to accept. I really don't know if I have accepted it yet or if I'm just coming to. Is that someone like me, I will never be truly happy in this world. I won't. No, don't anyone misconstrue it however you like. I will have happiness. Yes, there will be moments of conscious fulfillment for me, to an uttermost degree. There will be and have been satisfactory, highly enjoyable moments where I've had the best time of my life. I've had those moments. I've had so many of them recently, not back in my childhood when the days were all glistening, gleaming with naivety. No, I've had those recently. In the last, you could count, in the last 5 months, I've had those days. I've had those moments. And I will continue to have them. I know. I, though, know that the mindset I have, my mentality, I will never be truly happy to the length that is possible for human beings. To the length of joy that I felt in my childhood, that so many others felt in their childhood. Not because of naivety, because of human compassion. Here's some... No, wait. No. I'll save that for... Let me finish what I'm saying first. I have the mind of a revolutionary. No, not... Whether you think my theoretic work is groundbreaking, which from my perspective I think, yes, it is, has done a lot for the fields I've implemented them into, tried to. Whether you think that or not, that's not what... I don't mean I'm some super genius. It's not what I mean. Stay in. Oh, great. You're dead, aren't you? I have to finish recording this at a separate time. I mean that ideologically, I'm a revolutionary at heart. I want revolution sociologically. I cannot live without it. I can't live with sitting back and doing nothing. I don't want violent revolution. I want peaceful revolution. I can't live without doing my damnedest to obtain that in whatever small fraction I can. I can't. Cannot. That is fundamental for my psychology. That is fundamental for how my nervous system operates. I'm someone who cannot be happy, pleased with mediocrity, with destruction, with succumbing to conformity and abuse. I'm not. No one is, despite the cognitive damage that convinces them of such. But I'm someone who is aware of it, who can't be content with it. I can't. I will not learn someday. No, I won't. You actually think that you are ageist and an idiot. You know nothing about me. You really have no clue what I've done. And I would not actually, but internally, I'll be I'll be laughing in your face when I'm 55 and still, in essence, living the lifestyle that I do right now, with, in essence, despite what alterations may occur opinion-wise, the beliefs I still have. My want for change. I will be laughing in your face. I already am laughing in your face. I'm still alive. Done so much more than people ever thought I could do. People still think that I can do. Doing so much more. But I need to accept that in my lifetime, I won't ever fully be happy with the world around me. I won't ever be content with it. I will always, to some degree, be uncomfortable. I can't live without provably valid rebellion. Next day. Next night. I know that I won't ever be fully happy in this world. To go back to something I said in the earlier clips, about how stupid people have such unrealistic expectations. The second that an intelligent person fucks up, and it fucks up in a very strong, hypocritical way, mother lode breaks loose, people will want you dead. No, I mean it. I mean that verbatim. People will want the intellectual dead or just abused viciously because they feel such a betrayal of trust. One they looked up to as an idol. And to say if you believe that anyone on the planet deserves to die, whether they accidentally physically hurt someone by accidentally dropping something on their toe or slapping them, whatever else, or mass murderers who have retained severe trauma to a point where they commit atrocities. If you believe any person deserves to die, you fundamentally do not believe that any human being can be wrong morally, can have a wrong moral judgment. No, not that you don't. No, it's not just that you don't believe that they can. It's you believe fundamentally that they don't deserve to be wrong. That they don't deserve to be imperfect. You do. If you believe anyone on this planet deserves death, or any member of the human race, take a look in the fucking mirror. You believe that people deserve to be perfect beings. It's like this assigning of wanting. It's like this desire for narcissism. You do. If you were so ignorant you're so inept in your own self-reflection that you believe that you can justify murdering others in whatever context, or justify feeling no compassion for horrible human beings. Do I even have to? Well, obviously, you have cognitive damage. You have brain damage if you believe that. You fundamentally can't retain it. In that current moment in time, not enough neurogenesis going on up there at that point in your life. Synaptic connections, prefrontal cortex, they're not working right.
Do I even have to say that you're exactly like those horrible people? No, clearly I do. Of course I do. Because you don't understand it. You don't. You're a sociopath. You lack compassion just the same. Hey, let me blow your mind for a second with some classical phenomenological thinking here. All right, if you're of the belief that, well, if people who don't have empathy for me and if someone treats me like I'm just merely an object and they hurt me severely, they abuse me, why should I have empathy for them? Why should I maybe they need a taste of their own medicine. Why should I care about them then? Well, by your logic, why should they care about you? You want to flip that onto other people? And if you think that you're somewhat of a good person morally, and you want to flip that perspective, well, from their perception, they felt that it was their right to do it to you. They felt that you were deserving of lack of empathy. And as far as I'm concerned, most likely, in most scenarios, because of something that you did do. And I'll elaborate on that in a second. So there, flip that perspective. Now who's the one who has no empathy or sympathy? Now who's the one who has no compassion for who? You. You don't have compassion for them. Ergo, why should they have it for you? Ergo, why are you complaining and getting angry? Shut up and stop complaining. Every moral relativist out there, shut up. No, shut up. If you believe moral values are relative from person to person, and they have no correlation to anyone's actions towards another human being, if you think they're just these vague things that just go in separate lines and they never cross, there's never going to be conflict with ideological values. Stop fucking complaining. Stop having an opinion on anything. Opinionated thoughts are inherently moral. They're inherently an ethical value. I don't abide if you want to believe that or not, if you're so delusional to think otherwise. I swear, if I hear another person, I don't want to say it, but I still see people, this was a big trend on the internet amongst the falling leftist to centrist and then going into center-rightist online commentary, where you can't have an opinion on anything anymore, you can't have to say an opinion on this. Oh, why does everything have to be about race? Oh, so many genders, so many sexualities. Oh, keep it to yourself. Oh, religion, fine, you can believe in your devil worship if you want. La, 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 la. No one can have an opinion on anything anymore. Bullshit. You having an opinion on nobody being able to have a fucking opinion. And that's a moral value as well, innately in there. You believing that it's wrong to be suppressed in an online space or in your physical social environments from vocalizing freedom of speech. Oh, fuck Michael Foucault. Fuck him. Fuck Lacan. Fuck Foucault. Fuck Zizek. You bastards destroyed our world. You destroyed the left. You histrionic, Machiavellian postures. You fucked up the far left even more than they already were in terms of moral values from the pre-postmodernist era, the already shitty modernist philosophical thought that was rampant and then through the Western world in the 1940s and 50s. Well, you fucked it up more. You provided a shitty solution to a shitty problem. Well, you didn't provide a solution. You just provided a shitty supposed answer to a horribly oppressive field of thought. Seriously mean it. Michael Foucault, Jacques Lacan, modern day Slavoj Žižek, horrible people. You people are horrible. Well, one, they're not leftists. Performative leftists. They're rightists. They're just covert rightists. They manipulate the left wing, those who identify as being left wing and do genuinely may hold leftist values. They manipulate them. Well, when Mike Foucault and Lacan were alive, they manipulated people into believing their postmodernist, post-structuralist nonsense. And Zizek in the modern day does the exact same thing. Still have yet to talk about him in a video further. Well, mentioned him here and there before, but do a video about him and Jordan Peterson, the other moron, and how they're both the same person. In essence, if you believe if you believe any type of person is unworthy of redemption, if you believe redemption is for a select few that haven't crossed your flimsy, invisible line of unforgivability, then you're someone, one, you're quite narcissistic yourself, and you fundamentally you believe people can't make mistakes. And a certain amount of mistakes, a certain limit. Oh, when you actually put this into practice, you can't tell what the fuck, where that line is drawn. And I know people, and I'm talking about people I used to be friends with, and people who I've met interpersonally. I'm speaking directly to them. I've seen people who make the irredeemability argument for moral actions of certain people. They make this argument, and then they're so oblivious where they will proceed to do the same thing in essence. And I don't mean that just in sociopathic spite. I mean, like, okay, say someone, and I've seen this, let's specifically say this, in relation to misogyny. I've heard people say that rapists, masculine rapists, and sexual degradators and objectifiers deserve to be, one, alienated from society, and two, hung by the neck or shot. They deserve to be killed. I've heard people say this. And then these idiots will go right ahead and say some shit about, oh, did you see that girl on Tinder? Yeah, oh, wow, her body is so fucking fly. Yeah, but, no. I mean, and she kind of looks like oh, I haven't read her bio. She kind of looks like she'd be, like, real aggressive. She'd constantly be pestering. Swipe right. They'll proceed to do the same fucking thing. Objectify the person, portray them as a sexual object, with the least bit of self-awareness and the least bit of actual understanding and realizing that contributes to the societal ongoing of the same atrocities that you just said you hoped people who commit should die. Well, by your logic, you should die too. There you go. And I always hesitate to point this out to people. There were opportunities where I could have. Where I did almost, really. In essence, I did. They're so oblivious that they just didn't even fucking realize it. And I was too uncertain to double down. Funny thing is as well about that, you never hear these people say any of this about children. No, actually, here's another thing. There's a real big problem amongst the philosophical discourse community, amongst the postures and those who have been indoctrinated under their wings. When they discuss moral dilemmas, when they talk about human life, they actively pretend like children don't exist. And no, I don't mean that in the context of like promoting something that is provably horrible to human nature. I don't mean in the, oh, think of the children, save the children, what about the precious children mentality. I don't mean that. I mean they actively talk about things as if children are just an entity that just don't exist until a child comes into the room. Like any topic amongst at frat boy house, pseudo-intellectual university clubs, the postmodernist fanatics, far leftist reactionaries, they actively talk about sex, drugs, relationship dynamics as a whole, class status, education. They talk about all of it as if children don't exist. No, actually, no. They talk about it, yes. They talk about it as if children don't exist and as if teenagers exist, yeah, kind of here and there. Or especially only exist when only conveniently exist in importance and relevance to the topic at hand when sexual activity, romantic activity, and drugs, substance usage, or alcohol, when those three or entertainment and media, those four things, when those four things are brought up, they're kind of involved with that. In a very perverse tone, always a perverse tone. I hate hearing postmodernists talk. I hate hearing them talk. There's such a, this is perversion in everything. There's like just this no, one, there's a perversion. Two, there's this sly overconfidence. It's always pointing people directly. Michael Foucault, Slavoj Žižek. Holy shit! I can't stand this. I don't watch fucking. The only thing Foucault related, other than researching him, that I ever actually fully could sit through with him was his debate with Noam Chomsky. That's it. And I was listening to Chomsky most of the time anyway. I was reading the subtitles of Foucault, but I could not, I can't. Anytime I see that well-known interview within intellectual discourse, I can't stand to hear him speak. And when I used to actually think Zizek, when I used to be somewhat of a fan of Zizek's, for too long I tolerated how he spoke. And people will defend him saying, anyone you don't know who I'm talking about, then, well, you don't know who I'm talking about. If you know who these people are, you know who these people are. If you don't, well, go look them up and then come back. Oh, people who are Zizek fans will defend him by saying he uses something called I believe it's called hypotexic dialectic in linguistic philosophy. No, he doesn't. Or at least in my understanding of the concept of H dialectic, or the dialectic that is being argued that he speaks in, no, he doesn't. There's a famous joke in indie leftist discourse for Zizek that the example of, say, he'll say, if he's ordering food, yes, I'd like if someone made a joke of this, an animation of this. I'd like 1 cheeseburger with no cheese. So you want a hamburger? No, aren't you hearing me? I want 1 cheeseburger with no cheese. You state what the conceptual idea of the object is, then what it is in the proceeding context, yada, yada, yada. He doesn't do that. What he does is he purposely convolutes his language. He uses doublespeak, the manipulation tactic of doublespeak. So difficult, very clearly, to make himself sound clever, sound bright, because he uses, not because inherently that he uses big vocabulary. I use big vocabulary. Intelligent people use big vocabulary if they know it and if it's in their semantic knowledge. He takes that big vocabulary, he purposely throws it in areas of speech he doesn't need to, and then when asked any question, he will draw it out. He will draw out his answer for as long as friggin' possible. He will draw it out to spin you for a loop, to cognitively manipulate you, to distort your critical thought, where you can to a point where you can no longer follow what he is saying. So that by the end of what he is, when the discussion is done, when he's given his full answer, so that it sounds like he said something really profound and gave a detailed explanation, when in reality, all he did was pseudo-dodge the question by giving a very unintelligible something response. That's all I can call it. It's so stupid because if you have to, I actually kind of use, what people defend someone like, in terms of how someone like Slavoj Žižek, how he articulates himself, his semantic traits. What people defend him on, saying the dialectic that he uses, I actually kind of use what people are claiming that Žižek uses. Especially, let's say, geographically, when I state an administrative portion of a society. Thus, the city of Lévis, Quebec, Canada. The Canadian province of Quebec. The country of Canada. The, stating, well, the thing in terms of structure, the city, municipality, geographical determination of this place, of what it belongs to geographically. Well, and okay, the city of Lévis, what it belongs to in terms of its associated title and the name, what it is. The city of Lévis, Quebec, Canada. There, I myself use a dialectic similar to what people claim Zizek does, which he doesn't. One cheeseburger with no cheese. Huh, that was actually kind of good. I'll tell the example of a girl who asked for cream in our coffee. It's old joke in Slovenia. Yes, I know this. I'm absolutely certain of this. Oh, that actually was kind of good. Hold on, let me see what other ones I can do. Detracting from, well, I said this video, the concoction that this video is, I guess. Bonjour.
Bonjour.
Ça va bien?
Ouais, ça va et toi?
Ça va, ça va.
Tranquille, là. Bonsoir.
Bonsoir. Listen, a little drop by. You can't tell now, instead of a public restroom, I'm in a ATM terminal of a bank branch. Okay, impressions. Let's detract for a minute. Let's have some fun. I want to continue my Zizek impression for a second. What can I say? How can I get his mannerisms down first? Okay, now give me another second. This is a very interesting proposal. One that I would like to elaborate on in a more consequential efforts. When looking at what human beings really desire at most of their daily life, is this power struggle, is this visceral reaction of warmth, of this is the most vicious obscenity I've ever seen in my life. Let's see if my Jordan Peterson impression is any better. I don't think I have the voice down, his voice down completely correctly yet, but I think I have his mannerisms down quite well. Let's see if I can actually get into a position of being here on the floor. No, sure, like, no crap. I'm not advocating, but oh, it sounds like I'm gonna vomit. Well, I'm not advocating for any harm to the poor. Like, who would? Anyone in your sane mind wouldn't advocate for that. But what I'm saying hasn't been determined is where the left making absolute statements of moral superiority when they have no right to make claims like this. In a free functioning society, you cannot make claims of this, and especially in their claims of defending transgenderism. You know, I'm for their right to express it, degrading scientific understanding of gender studies, which when did masculinity become toxic? Okay, I don't have the voice on at all. But I think I have the mannerisms down well enough. You woke moralist scum. Who else? What other prominent intellectuals? Okay, Peterson's not an intellectual. Neither is Zizek, in my opinion. They're not intellectuals. What other prominent recognized intellectuals do? Okay, let's try Chomsky. Well, I mean, I think that, well, I'm not opposed to, say, any sort of intervention by the proletariat if there was, well, say, duly just cause for it. I mean, I think it can prove, it can really concretely prove possible threat or a really true final outcome of what the sort of ideological goal would be, then I think there's pretty good solid justification for, well, acts of defense on the part of the proletariat. But where I think that the completely immoral, completely unjustifiable would be solely to obtain any form of power for, say, any bourgeois class. Okay, I think I could do better than that. I think I could. Okay, well, let me just, actually, okay, so, well, younger Chomsky, he talks more, I guess, with a bit of an uptick at the end of his sentences, whereas older Chomsky is more rugged in speech, but look at the vocal patterns, you could pretty well tell that this seems true for him in terms of an uptick in voice and, you know, hand gestures. He tends to do a lot of gestures with his hands. That's why I'm doing it here. And I think he's retained that. I think he's retained that over the years extensively. I mean, he's always moving his hands. I mean, the guy really can never stop doing this with his hands. used to focus on for Chomsky is his hands. Well, nobody talks about it. There's nothing wrong with it, but one key trait that I have noticed from parasocial psychoanalysis, well, psychophysiological analysis of Chomsky, is that one of his behavioral patterns is when he talks, the guy does not put down his hands. Never. You have to admit that. He never does. I mean, constantly, even in older interviews, you can see that his hands, he sort of moves them in a back and forth, rapid swaying motion. Or, well, maybe I guess you could really call it a jutting motion, or maybe he'll rest his arm on the side of his leg or chair, put it to his face, and then, well, when he goes on to explain something, and maybe he'll even raise eyebrows somewhat, contemplating what he's about to say. The same primarily goes for older Chomsky, but one thing I guess you could point out a difference is he's grown older and adapted to, well, certain environments, is that maybe when he sits down he tends to keep his hands more firmly placed towards his lap when he's standing, an address of some kind to an audience. Now talking with his hands. Okay, I think that's enough for Chomsky. Oh, who else? Who else? I've been practicing this one once. I actually have, just for the heck of it. To do an impression of Dr. Gabor Mati, you have to talk very slow. You have to talk very, very low in your voice. Sort of smooth, withered, slight rasp, but very, very unnoticeable. It's a very unnoticeable rasp in his voice. It's very low. And similar to Noam Chomsky, he also tends to do a lot of hand motions. He tends to do a lot of them when speaking, but not concretely the same. Whereas Chomsky is flailing his arms or hands back and forth. Gabor is often trying to steady his hands a lot, and he's talking with just slight gestation of his hands and fingers. He does this a lot, especially when talking about childhood trauma. Childhood trauma is very key in the development of how it will shape the person you are when you're older. The only way that we can really truly come to understand the emotions we're feeling right now is by being authentic. Being authentic in presenting our emotions to other people and dealing with this. That one I think was pretty spot on. I think that one was pretty spot on. One more. If I used to talk as if I were Carl Jung, you know, the famous Swiss psychologist who wrote about personality archetypes. I think you will find that there is something there. I don't know if maybe there are some other unseen explanation that I'm not aware of, but the way I look at it is either I know or I don't know. I don't believe. I know or I do not know. Okay, that's enough. Hold on, my phone has died. I was just thinking back to the video I made in Laval, Quebec, when my original backpack was stolen and how distraught I was. In it, I said that I would have rather have dealt with a car bomb going off by me or someone shooting at me than all the minute annoyances that led up to that. That would have made her upset. Just looking back, for the most part, it was stupid of me to say. I don't retract all of what I said, but I retract what I said about the more extensively chaotic and violent actions. I would rather have dealt with those. Because that in and of itself is critical of me. That is somewhat glorification of, well, no, that's maybe not glorification. A romanticization, I guess, of the importance of those scenarios over, say, something like the theft of a backpack. No. Sociologically, it's just as valid. It's all the same reasons behind why they happen. So that was ignorant of me to say. But why I said that, and the part that I agree with still, is that yes, is the minute annoyances part. Where I can handle the more intensive scenarios. I can. And I can remain well enough composed in them. And I cry about them afterwards. But if you're, for any intellectuals or hyper-intellectuals out there, the little things, and by little things I mean the minor inconveniences, they will get to you far more than any majorly disorienting event. They will. At least for me. They will get to you more. Why? Because psychologically you put your cognitive efforts into actually looking at the valid, massively destructive issues of the world. You try to understand and get to the nitty-gritty of things, and you try to look at things in a more in-depth and objective level, and you look at the bigger picture at large. You don't have time. You don't have the mental energy to waste on the superficial petty nonsense. You don't have time for it. You exhaust yourself with the important issues, the larger, well, it's important to those things, yes, it relates to it. The larger causes of those issues at bay, you focus on those far more than the smaller, minute ones. That's why it gets to you. Makes you far more upset. Personal example, I spend my time researching online and actually going to areas in places that I'm at sociologically that are epicenters for corruption or are the living quarters of where the individuals who spread that corruption are, and try and gather information and understand the structuring of said environment. Theoretical work, typing out work in relation to trying to explain these phenomena, and then my phone dies. Okay, fine. It's not the most inconvenient thing, but okay, I'll try and charge it. Oh, well, my portable charger's dead. Okay, that's a bit more hindering. Okay, then I end up trying to get my phone charged, but I'm in a place where all the outlets, the connections have been shut off in terms of wiring. Okay, well, I guess whatever video footage I was gathering at this moment, okay, well, that's done. I'll have to do that another time. And then say I trip and break my portable charger. Now I have to try and track down a new one, and this will take days. Oh great, well now I'm without that. So, guess I gotta call it a night. Now I have to walk all the way back to my campsite where I'm sleeping if I'm not anywhere close, and it's freezing at night, and it all went awry. It's those little things that when you spend so much you put so much energy into the larger things, actually looking at them, and then you're constantly thwarted by the mundane, stupid nonsense from things that, okay, maybe my example was more of, well, just the unpredictability of life as a whole, something that couldn't have been controlled overall, in that immediate moment at least, by you. but especially amongst other people that you meet who convolute things unnecessarily. But that's the burden of intelligent people. That's the thing. In this world, people like me, we will always be uncomfortable. We will. We're not going to have a moment of true peace. That's something that we have to accept. Anyone with the frivolous bit of higher intellect, you are always going to be put in situations in this world that you don't want to be in, that are more conflicting to your subconscious desires than necessary, that are taxing, depressive. You're always going to be thrown into them, no matter what. And you're going to have to deal with them if you want to survive. And you do internally, psychobiologically want to survive. You always will be. Because the idiots of this world will throw you into them. They will force you into them. You will have no other option but to work with them or work around them. You'll be thrust into it against your will. This world is predicated on unconsent. Unconsensual actions. This world is predicated on them, and I'm not merely speaking sexually, or I'm speaking in all facets of life. This world is predicated on lack of consent. I didn't give my consent for you to do this to my life. It's too bad for me. That's you know what, that's the slogan I'm giving to the world. Current world as it is, and how it's been for so many millennia. An unconsentful world. You didn't want people to hurt you? Too bad. You didn't want people to defile you, to defile your sanctity of housing, your sanctity of food, of water, of social acceptance, of compassion and kindness. Too bad. Oh, you wanted everybody to try and get along? be nice to one another. Fuck you! That's especially true when you turn 18 years old. Or get into later teenage years, early 20s, all across the world. Or the age range even for cultures that don't celebrate, that don't keep count of birthdays. You're under 18? Well, you're very much under 18 then. Oh, everything will be alright, honey. Everything will be alright. We'll fix it. You go play and have fun. You go build sentimental attachment to these underlyingly corrupt things that we've bought you, that we've given you for joy. Grow an attachment to them. After you're 18, give me that shit. Why are you still using it? So what, you've got joy out of it? Fuck, you should have stopped that the second that it struck midnight on your birthday. When you became an adult. Fuck you, you little shit. That's what it feels like, and you all damn well know it. Like, I'm not speaking literally there, I'm speaking figuratively. That's how I can best describe the integration of traumatization. Wrap this video up soon. It's getting long, and of course I will not even touch a fraction of what's in my mind. But I, most of all, just to end it, I guess, and then, well, I'll discuss one more thing. I wish that more people in my life, or who come into my life, I wish people would try and understand me the way that I try and understand everyone else. I make an effort to psychoanalyze everyone. I make an effort to look at the elements of each person's life and how they've come about, why someone is the way they are. And I'm never, almost never, on any truly impactful level, I'm never returned the fucking favor. Will not stop it. It's not right to. I wish someone, anyone, people as a whole, anyone who engages with my content on here would just try and understand me and why I do what I do, the way I try to understand you. It's what everyone wants. But here's to hoping. One more thing before I go. I said earlier that I'd kind of elaborate on something I alluded to with, well, sneaking into corporate head offices. Well, as I said, I will be leaving Leviz and going into Quebec City sometime in early May. Before I do that, along with me finishing up explorations of the city in terms of video footage, documentation, on top of that, I will be conducting, I'm already making preparations for it, what as of current will be the most major, probably most dangerous investigative work that I've done so far. It is extensive, it's elaborate for me. It's probably one of the most elaborate things that I've ever done, or I will be doing. And I'm not leaving this city without seeing it through, without finishing it, without attempting, with whatever resources I have, and with if certain things don't pan out, whatever false cover story I can concoct. If my cover is blown, it's like, or about to. What is it, you may ask? I'm not going to be incredibly specific right now, just in case. But I will be sneaking into a certain corporation, certain corporations, a certain corporate location here in the city, a prominent private corporation's location. Sneaking in, I will try and find a way to waltz in, and what I'm going to do is I will be donning a disguise, donning a fake identity, and putting on a show, playing up a performance of a charismatic, narcissistic, dim-witted, but oh so charming, sexist, racist, classist, homophobic, transphobic, prejudice individual, adorning a accent that is not my own, not my native accent. And that's not a white Quebecian accent of any kind. My attempts at such for creolizing my language. And I'm going to try, once getting into said corporate location, to speak to, or try and get to speaking to some higher management or executives, and through my concocted story, and see if I could get them to slip their lips on certain affairs of their private company, and if maybe a bonus, even show me some documentation and well, printed reports. I will be going through, after making preparations, which I'm doing, I'll be doing that right before I leave the city. Right before I get packing and going in and heading into Quebec City. And that's all I'm gonna say for now. I'm going to be messing with, if I succeed, I will be playing some form of wealthy elitist bastards for fools within this company, or some amount of their divisional management for fools, whoever is willing to talk. And I will be broadcasting it on here. Yep, I'll film it covertly, and I will upload it. You'll see it. You'll see it. All going accordingly. Unless they make me disappear. But I'm not going down without not a fist fight, no. If I'm found out, what I'm doing is running. And if I'm running, they're not catching me. Oh, they're not catching me easy. I will push. I will bolt out of said certain building. I will bolt out. I will jump downstairs. I will jump over objects. I will bolt out. No one is catching me immediately within that building unless they were to send out, say, a police search. That's all I'm going to say for now. It's the most risky thing I will probably have done up until this point, but I've done things similar as of right now. If you recall, Montebello, Quebec, sneaking into Fairmont-les-Chateaux, Montebello, roaming around Cité de la Santé Hospital in Laval, Quebec, trying to gather evidence on the corrupt health foundation and municipal health ministry. units you could count. House 265, St. Rose, Laval. If there was gang activity involved. Or, well, and that with just research of Greater Montreal gangs when I was there. The tyrannical middle-class rule of the Talbot family, St. Paul de Montmagny. So I've done things similar. But this requires a lot of precision. And I will make mistakes and I'll have to improvise. But I better damn well make this my greatest acting performance I've ever given in my life. I better. Especially if I actually get to talking to certain company executives in said building. I better make this my damn greatest performance. I'm going to be impressed if I pull this off. Alright. Probably not going to get much sleep tonight. I'll go back to shelter tomorrow. Try and sleep. The only reason I'm not there tonight is because one, they were apparently closed, and two, because I want to give them a break from me being recurrent face there, so they can prioritize others. Well, they're closed. But anyway. Think about your life.